Hi guys, so this is a scenario that I programmed. Um, if as you can see, the themes here have been programmed. So we simply, whichever state in the scenario we want to go to, we just click on it and simply hit activate. Unfortunately, this patient does not make it in the end, so there's not much change happening here. But I just wanted to show you how it works. So you can see we have our vital signs here, and then so let's go to our next state, and we can click activate, and the vital signs will change. I believe only the respiratory rate changed, um, but not much change in this scenario. But so let's go to our final state. Now here, with all the rest of the states, this is possible as well. There's a little clock icon. This controls the transition time between the states. So if we click on it, we can say if we want it to happen over 1 minute, 20 seconds, and all the way up to 10 minutes. With this particular sim, things need to happen immediately. So I just go ahead and click activate. And as you see, really nothing really changes in this sim. But you'll see in our next scenario that we programmed, we'll be going from different states. So let's exit out of here and let's go to Sim Designer. So I'll actually go back to the Leap simulation home, and we'll click on Sim Designer here. So and I'll slide this here over here. Guys, this is my actual scenario. This is my scenario template. So this is what I'm reading off. For me, it's helpful to actually split the screen where I can actually read the scenario while I'm programming it. Also, if you can print your scenario out, just so you can kind of have a reference, you can kind of have a reference to know what you're programming. So let me just adjust my screen here. First thing we want to do is take a look at the patient's age, because it's going to ask us what mannequin we want to use. So this patient is a 17-year-old woman. So I'm going to use SimMan, and we want to program themes. You can program the scenario, but for me, I think the easiest way to program simulations is just programming themes. And in my experience, it's best to keep things simple, especially when you're doing sims and people are all over the place, and you got 18 different people participating in the sim. You want to keep it as simple as possible. So we've chose SimMan 3G as our simulator. Everything looks great, and we'll just click OK. Alright, so let's scroll down to our first state. Okay, so the first thing I do is I just set in the vital signs. You can see we have some other things here in red, but I just focus on the vital signs first because everything else we can enter later. So monitor torsade. So let's go to the vital signs. Now with the vital signs, let me go back because I didn't explain. To edit a state, all you do is click on it. So I'm gonna click here. To edit a vital sign, all you do is click on it. So I'm gonna click on the vital sign, the waveform, the heart rhythm, and then I'm gonna find torsades here. Okay, here we go. And it says no pulse. So I'm gonna do PEA. Now I could either do PEA here, or I could actually just affect the pulses, just turn all the pulses down manually. But I'm gonna do that. So BP undetectable. So there isn't a way to do BP undetectable unless when we're in the software, we physically uncheck BP. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it down to 20/10. Okay. And when I turn down 20/10, that usually makes it so low that it doesn't detect it. So we have our respirate 0. So let's go here and we'll just turn that to 0. and no set waveform. Okay. No pulse. So, okay, exam unchanged, except cyanosis, gash on forehead. Okay, so I believe we are finished with this actual theme. I'll actually go to the pulses, enable pulse rules off. So just to make sure the pulses are off, and I'll click OK. So guys, we have our first state, which is here. Okay, so now we need to move down to the second state, right? So, and it actually looks like there's not much change here as well. I don't think this patient makes it either, which is a bummer. It's probably not the best scenario to use as an example, but this is the scenario that we're doing next week. So I kind of wanted to program it and show you guys. So to do a new state, so we're on state number 2, right? So all we do is click to add a new state, and a new state will pop. So then we click that. Now let's name this, right? Because we had our initial state, that's a given. So let's name this one. So the title of this state is after BVM with 100% O2. So I don't have to use that entire title, but I like to use enough of it so if I'm in a rush, I can read it and know exactly where I am. So I'll just put that. Sometimes I'll just put state 2 in the name, but I've noticed that like when we're really busy and it's getting really hectic, if I just put state 2 there, sometimes I get lost in the simulation. So if I put the actual name that corresponds, it's a little easier for me. So let's patient monitor. So it's torsades again. Now, because we already chose the vital sign rhythm in the first one, and there's no change here, we could actually leave this blank, and it won't change it because we didn't make any new changes, right? But just to keep things in order and make sure everything works, right? Because sometimes things go haywire. I'm just going to reprogram it again for the next state. Now I don't have to do this, but just to make sure, I'll go ahead and do it. So the heart rate is 0. So we'll change the heart rate to 0. Well, if it's torsades, why is the heart rate 0? Okay, so you'll notice sometimes when you program these sims that things go crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at 200 just cause let me go back actually and let me see what. Yeah, so this is the same thing. So I believe this should be 200 because it's torsades. So this really should be 200. And then this one should also be 200 because torsades, that's, that's what you, that's the heart rate that you're given. So let's go over to respiratory rate. And what I'll do is same thing, 0, BP 20/10. So I'll do that. I'll put in 20 and automatically this will change to 10. So the SAT, excuse me guys. So the SAT, we're going to put 17%. So 17% is low enough where it won't show on the monitor. And I believe we're done with this state. I think we got to retitle it because I did exit out. So after BVM with 100% O2. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of just going through this, but if you go to additional symptoms, and you could either type things in, and things will come up here, or you can, if you don't know what you want to put, you could put browse, and then these are all different settings that you can change, right? So I'll go to eyes, and then You can see you can change the pupil size. You can all this stuff you can program. So just for example, I use eyelid status. So we click OK. Now we have the option of how do we want the eyelids to be. So I'll just do close because this person is obviously not in good shape. So I'll just do closed. So let's go to our next our final and last state. So I'll click to add a new state. The new state pops up. I'll click on that. Let's title it after CPR. So I'll just leave it at that. That'll hint me enough. So the heart rate. So this patient does get better. Okay, cool. So let's do sinus with 85 BPM, and then 20 respiratory rate, and then the BP goes to 100 over 55. Okay, so this patient actually does get better, which is great. Okay, so 93, and patient breathing, fighting, moving, crying, reaching over forehead. Okay, so this is after at least one. Okay, cool. So we'll click OK, and I'm gonna save this. This is scene 3, so I'm gonna save this. I like to save it to my desktop, but you can save it wherever you feel comfortable. So after we saved it, we'll exit out, and I'm actually going to show you guys how to load this up. So let's go back to our Laerdal home. We'll use the LLeap instructor application, and so let me exit out because I think it remember my settings from last time, and I want to show you guys from scratch how we do it. All right. So let me exit out there. It's remembering all my settings. All right. So we want to do virtual simulator. Well, it depends. I'm doing virtual simulator now because we're doing telesim and we don't have a mannequin to, we're doing this all over the web. But if you have your mannequin just set up like normal, the simulator will come up here. I'm going to go to the virtual simulator that I had already created. Excuse me, guys. I guess I'm a little tired. So anyway, we're gonna come to this menu here, and we're gonna go to browse because you're probably not gonna see your scenario down here if you didn't save it in the Laerdal folder. So we'll go to browse up here, and like I said, I have mine on the desktop, so I'll go there. I'll go into the folder, and then I'll click the scene that I just did, which was scene 3. So I click open, and then I'll click OK, and I'll let that start up. And when it starts, it's going to start in the initial state. So as you can see, this is our initial state. This is our theme menu here. So we're in our initial state. All of our settings are here. Our eyes are closed. We're in torsades. Respiratory rate 0. So everything that we set is there. Now, what I'll do is the next state is this one, the after BVM with 100% O2. So I'll click on that. Now, if I want the change to happen immediately, all I do is click on activate. Now, if I want the change to happen over time, what I do is come down here and click this watch, and I can select, do I want it to happen 20 seconds all the way up to 10 minutes? I get to choose, and I can even choose what do you call it? If it happens gradually, immediately, what curve do I want to choose? Which is, a great option. So for this patient, in this scenario, everything happens immediately. So I'll leave this at 0, and I click activate. As you can see, the pulse ox changed to 17. Most of the everything stayed the same, but you can see the changes have been made. So let's go to our next state, which is after CPR and I believe one defibrillation. Um, so the patient gets better. So what I'll do, I want it to happen immediately. I don't want it to happen over time, even though realistically this wouldn't happen immediately. But for this scenario, it has to happen immediately just for the sake of time. So I click activate. And when I click activate, you'll notice that everything changed. The vital signs are reflecting of this vital sign of these settings down here. If you look at our graph, you can see our changes have been made on our graph. So that is how you do it. That is how you program a scenario. There's other ways to program a scenario. For me, the easiest and simplest way is to program themes and to move from one theme to the next theme in the correct order. Um, there's other ways to program, but I've noticed just over my years as being a sim tech, the easiest and simplest way is the best, especially when you're doing a sim in the lab and you have 10 participants and 2 educators and maybe 2 sim techs working. Like, it's so much easier just to keep it as simple as possible. But if you guys have any other suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. If you guys know more than I do about, about programming, feel free to, drop it down in the comments and let me know. I'm always eager to learn. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.